On this episode of Arts Weekly, I'm speaking with Dan O'Connell and Kristen Guthrie from Visit Fort Wayne.
You get to spend a day being a tourist in your own hometown and seeing what our visitors appreciate every day.
And Louise Teague and Dan Wire for IPFW RiverFest.
We're going to have a big swimming pool, and kids can come and learn how to scuba dive.
This is Arts Weekly.
Arts Weekly is a production of the College of Visual and Performing Arts at IPFW, offering degrees in fine arts, music, theater, and visual communication and design. IPFW, the energy of arts.
Hello, I'm Chuck O'Connor, and this is Arts Weekly. Joining me is Dan O'Connell, President and CEO of Visit Fort Wayne, and Kristen Guthrie, Marketing Manager. They're here to talk about all the many reasons why people should visit Fort Wayne. Good to have you both on the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks, Chuck.
Visit Fort Wayne is the new name of what used to be called the Visitors Convention Bureau. And what's the reason for the name change?
We decided when we moved our offices off Calhoun Street to Harrison Street, it would be a time to change our name, because sometimes when we were called the Convention and Visitors Bureau, we were confused with whether we were a convention center or if as a bureau we were part of the city of Fort Wayne, and we were neither. We're an independent organization, so our board of directors decided to change our name to Visit Fort Wayne, to clearly state that's our mission and our purpose, to get people to visit our community.
So let's talk a little bit about the vision and the purpose of Visit Fort Wayne. When you say you want to encourage people to visit the community, what sort of things, Kristen, do you do to help that along?
Oh, sure. We work kind of two big different ways, and one is to bring groups to the city through conventions, sports tournaments, and events. And the other is to bring leisure visitors here, families who are looking for a weekend getaway, and they come to enjoy our zoo, Science Central, the Tin Caps, all those great amenities. And other, sorry.
That's okay. But but people actually, so in a sense what you do is you service people who are thinking about moving here, right? And you help companies that do that. But we don't always think of Fort Wayne as a tourist destination, though there are many, many great things that people come to see here. Those of us who live here might not be aware of it. What are some of the most popular attractions?
Well, the Fort Wayne Children's Zoo is definitely one. It's consistently rated one of the top 10 zoos in the nation, and has a very great reputation in the whole region. So that brings a lot of families here for that stellar attraction. And then there's lots of great other things they like to add to their trip while they're here, whether it be recreation, entertainment, other museums and attractions, festivals, to put together a nice family weekend.
So as I understand it, Dan, one can go onto the Visit Fort Wayne website and say, well, I'm interested in going to a Tin Caps game, or what have you, or the zoo, as Kristen just mentioned. And they can find different ways to put together a package, do other things that weekend while they're here, find a place to stay. What other kind of services along those lines do you guys offer?
Well, our organization has about 10 people, and we operate a visitor center downtown. It has the traditional brochures and guides and maps of what they're seeing to do here. But in today's travel world, 3 out of 4 people go to the internet for their travel information. And we have one of the most comprehensive websites, visitfortwayne.com, in the city. And it contains lots of information on every weekend activity that's going on, if they're going to need accommodations, what are dining. We have a lot of opportunity for people to rediscover their own city if they're a resident, but it's the way we reach out into the world to tell people about Fort Wayne. I'd
like to re-emphasize that point. Suppose you have family coming into town, you're an employer, you're thinking about trying to recruit somebody to move here. Your website is just fantastic. It really has a great calendar. It can tell you just everything that's going on. And I think it's very, very successful. But Kristen, what's the importance of tourism to Fort Wayne? And I imagine that it has a lot of economic benefits as well.
Definitely. Visitors bring $465 million to our community each year. So it is a very important economic benefit as well. And it benefits all of us as they spend in the convention center, hotels, attractions, and supports that quality of life that then the residents get to enjoy.
And the summer is upon us, Dan, and we have a lot of festivals and things going on. Tell us a little bit about about some of the things that summer visitors can find here in Fort Wayne.
Well, there's 14 festivals that are held at Headwaters Park over the course of April through October. That's one of our busiest locations that people should go to have some fun with their family or visiting friends and relatives that are coming. There's oftentimes rides and things associated with Three Rivers Festival, but RibFest is down there. Germanfest is celebrating their 30th anniversary, and they're doing some very special things during that time. And there's other ethnic festivals that are going on in the community, so Headwaters Park's a good central location. The attractions are the Children's Zoo, Science Central, Embassy Theater, Museum of Art, all those kind of museums put on special exhibits as well. And our parks, it's a good time for recreation. So anything on the River Greenway, golf courses, are all recreational activities that people can get out and enjoy our community. And you're right, Chuck, the website is a great way to find out some opportunities.
That would be visitfortwayne.com.
Yes.
Germanfest, we were talking a little bit before the show. They're going to be doing something special this summer downtown.
Being
correct?
their 30th anniversary, they want to do something than normal in their polka offerings in their beer tent, and then all the music choirs that they do too. They've got sponsors who are going to put up 16 art pieces around the community that are replica steins, beer steins, that are going to be whimsically painted by local artists, and it'll be all around the community and on the showcase at the beer tent during Germanfest. And so it's an opportunity like the Mastodons to kind of take something that's part of our heritage and decorate it in art and put it out for public display. And that's what Germanfest is doing as part of their 30th anniversary.
You know, Germanfest, you said, has been around for 30 years. How did it get its start? Is that a locally organized event?
It is. The local German society, German Heritage Society, is very strong in Fort Wayne. It has organized several soccer fests, a number of excursions back to the fatherland, if you will. They also do a number of scholarship programs. And then they want to really start to have a fundraiser, so they started a beer tent. And that just blossomed into a full-scale festival when they started adding visiting choirs that perform in churches, a soccer match, some interpretive sessions and learning sessions about the heritage of Germans in this area. So it's really one of the biggest festivals we have in the community.
It's one of the biggest ones in the summer. And what are the other don't miss festivals you would say this summer? I'll throw that one to you, Kristen.
I'd say the Johnny Appleseed Festival is probably one of the biggest, of course. People from all over the region love to come for that great fall festival. And then many of the other ones are food or ethnic related, from Greek Fest or Barbecue Rib Fest. RiverFest coming up is a new one that people are very excited about. And I think it's a very festive community. I mean, there really is many small events every weekend in the summer and always one great big one at least. And I think people really love to celebrate that.
Almost something every weekend, I think.
Oh, definitely.
It's hard to get bored around here in the summer. But
Definitely.
But there's more than just the summer, right? Well, we have things going on all year round. What are some of the reasons why visitors would want to visit Fort Wayne during the winter, during the fall, during the spring?
Chuck, we host a lot of people who come here for either business function or educational function. And they come down into conferences and conventions. One of the most recent ones we held was the Indiana Music Educators Convention. That had over 3,500 people come here to 4 to 5 days in downtown Fort Wayne, a lot of them students. And they filled up our Grand Wayne Center, but they filled up 5 different hotels. As a group, they left about $1.3 million in the community, and that's kind of revenue that sustains those restaurants and shopping centers in our hotel community. So during the winter months and during the summer, we get large groups that come here, and the largest we'll have this summer is USA Roller Sports. Their national championships in speed skating will be held at the Memorial Coliseum instead of Lincoln, Nebraska for 3 weeks. And these are people whose kids are excelling in roller skating or inline skating and now reached a competitive level. And this is a national championship that'll bring close to 6,000 people to Fort Wayne over that 3-week period.
You know, a lot of people see all these things. The state basketball championships and the roller skating that you just mentioned. Yep. You know, there's somebody that does a lot of work to get these things here, and that's you guys.
That's right.
Thank you, Chuck. That would be us. We work behind the scenes to promote Fort Wayne. And that word promote means, yes, what Kristen does in terms of marketing, letting people know what we have to offer and enjoy in our community. But there's also a sales force of 3 people that work to go out around the nation, meet with people whose purpose it is to find a good location for their groups to gather, whether it be the Lutheran Synod Church, a roller sports national championship or the girls state championship, or even a small gathering. But when those groups choose our community, that brings money into our community, and we're kind of the sales force for it.
And I really have to congratulate you. I went to that IMEA convention, the Indiana Music Educators Association. As you say, it was very, very successful, very large. There were a lot of people here. But it was so wonderful, if people haven't been downtown recently, to walk between the courtyard by the Marriott
Yes.
and into the Embassy Theater. You know, you have those beautiful overpasses. You never really have to go outside. They have Champs, that restaurant down there. It's just it was just a wonderful event where everybody was very, very close, and I think it made Fort Wayne look very, very good.
Well, one of the things that helped us pull that off is with leadership provided by Barbara Resch here at IPFW. She helped pull together the resources in the association to make them believe that if you left Indianapolis, you know, you're not going out to the outer limits there, and you're going to have a good facility and a good city to host you. And we put together 8 different venues to host for all the choral exhibits and the singing demonstrations. And these kids and students and their educators were so glad to be in the Reinhardt Center, to be on the stage at the Embassy Theater, to be performing at the United Methodist Church. They really felt like the community wanted them and welcomed them. And so that's why they signed a 3-year agreement to come back.
They'll be back. They'll be
Yes.
back.
That's exciting.
For those of us who live here, we actually have a chance, an opportunity, Kristen, to experience what it's like to be a visitor, a tourist in our own town, and that's coming
Yes.
up on September 11th. Tell us a little bit about be a tourist in your own town.
Oh, sure, yes. This is the 12th year that we have organized this day where residents get free admission to all of Fort Wayne's museums and attractions. They graciously open their doors, and it will be Sunday, September 11th this year. And so residents have the opportunity to go to the Museum of Art, which they may not have seen since it expanded, or take the kids to Science Central and 12 other places that you do. You get to spend a day being a tourist in your own hometown and seeing what our visitors appreciate every day, but residents may not take the time to do. So it's a great kind of celebration of our excellent museums and attractions.
And people don't realize how many things are changing and coming
Oh,
about.
absolutely. Every year, the list, half of them have something new, amazing, or they expanded, or something really cool that you definitely haven't seen before. So it's a great opportunity.
And you're bringing in a fascinating convention next year, something to do with fishing lures?
Just this week, we work every week to book something in a very novel group called the National Fishing Lure Collectors Club. About almost 1,000 of the people who, instead of collecting beer steins or maybe art, they collect fishing lures, and they have a whole society amongst themselves, and their national convention will be held here. We had to beat 5 other cities for that convention. Beat out Chattanooga, Grand Rapids, Des Moines, Iowa, I think was bidding on it. And because of the amenities and the tight package of an expanded convention center that's new, a new hotel across the street, some of the family fun stuff we have in the middle of July, just those festivals you were talking about, they said, let's go to Fort Wayne next year.
I agree. It's a wonderful place to visit. You guys do so much great work behind the scenes, helping to put Fort Wayne on the map. I really thank you both for doing that, and thank you for coming on to Arts Weekly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more information about Visit Fort Wayne and how to view their calendar of events, go to visitfortwayne.com or call 424-3700. Arts Weekly will return in a moment. Welcome back to Arts Weekly. Joining me is Louise Teague and Dan Wire. They're here to discuss IPFW's RiverFest coming to IPFW on June 25th. Thank you both for coming on the show. Soon, as we tape the show, it's raining outside, our rivers are running high, and our thoughts are around that. But soon the waters will recede and things will become summer and sunny, and we'll get out and enjoy our rivers. And of course, RiverFest is one way that we can do that, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But Dan, let's start with you. What are some of the ways in which people will learn how to enjoy the rivers by attending RiverFest?
Well, the part of the mission statement of RiverFest is to promote, protect, and preserve the rivers through education and fun. And RiverFest is certainly a great place to come have a lot of fun. The event last year was just beautiful. The turnout was phenomenal. We expect more. What we're going to add this year is the education component. And there will be 4 tents throughout the site, so you won't be able to miss them. And there will be 4 tents, and they're going to be staffed by about 20 different watershed organizations, both volunteer and professional. And they'll have big question marks. And we will be able to answer questions that the public may have about water quality. Can you play in the water? Can you fish in it? Can you eat the fish? Whatever. Why is it brown? we'll be able to answer those questions, and we want questions. We want people to say, what about this? Why don't we do something like this? And we want to take the public input. So we really want to emphasize not only the fun now, but let's start getting some education out there.
What would you, in terms of education, what do you think is one of the most common misconceptions? Not one or a couple of the most common misconceptions about our rivers here in Fort Wayne.
I think it's water quality. Now, there are probably 3 general areas that people have questions about. Do we still flood? Why do sewers dump in there? And is the water safe? So I think the biggest misconception is water quality, and some people are led to believe that if they get a drop on them, it's going to be toxic and it will be problematic. The brown color you see, most of the problem, it's just runoff. It's silt, it's clay, it's sediment. In fact, that is the #1 pollution in the rivers and always has been. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some chemicals in there, but the rivers today are a lot better than they were before. So I think the misconception, #1, is can we enjoy the river? What happens if we touch it? And for the most part, it's fine. If you can get out and boat, you can fish, you can hike along it. If you happen to get in the river, like there will be a ski show here. When they're done skiing, they'll go home and take a shower. You just want to wash up when you're done being along the rivers.
Right, but there's not, because it's sort of brown, some of the rivers here, but it doesn't mean that they're necessarily unsafe or...
Correct. The brown color is just dirt. It's just suspended dirt. In fact, in the wintertime, if you ever look at the river, if you get down to it and look through the snow, you could see down in the water probably 2 or 3 feet because there's no runoff. And it's going slow, and the sediment has all dropped out of it. It's the same water in the winter as it is in the summertime. It's just full of runoff in the summertime.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about in a minute about how to learn about the rivers and some of the visions that your organization, Friends of the Rivers, has for how our rivers will be used. But I want to start talking a little bit about RiverFest because there's, as you mentioned, Dan, there's fun things going on. Not that education can't be fun. And Louise, first of all, tell us, how did RiverFest get started? This is the 2nd year. And how did you come up with the idea, and what's the purpose of it?
Well, the university is always interested in being a part of the community, not just to interact, but to make a contribution to our city and to our environment. And the rivers were something that our city leaders have been looking at how to capitalize on for quite a while, and it only made sense that the university should be a part of not only that discussion, but to offer our campus, where the river runs right through it, as a place to bring people and have them learn about the river and enjoy the river, actually get on the river, celebrate the river. And so if the university can be a part of raising that awareness and a part of making that contribution to the community, that certainly would be our goal.
And what kind of activities will be featured at RiverFest?
Well, we have many favorite activities from last year and new activities. Maybe I should just walk through the day. At 9 o'clock, we will have a walk-run, a river walk-run.
Is that a competitive walk-run, or just anybody can sign up?
It is competitive, but it's what we call family-friendly. And along the way, there'll be musicians, and there'll be education. There'll be characters along the way, historical characters who will talk about the river. So for people who don't care whether they win or not, it actually can be an educational experience. But it's for runners, for walkers, for families with children, or people pushing strollers. So it kind of appeals to everyone.
Okay, but after all that hard work is over, when does the real fun begin?
And then, okay, so that starts at 9, but the whole event really starts at 10. And at 10 o'clock, we have Family Fest, which will have probably 30 activities, hands-on activities for kids.
Arts, crafts, things like that?
Yes. But also, one of the new things this year is we're going to have a big swimming pool, and kids can come and learn how to scuba dive. So we need to tell folks to bring their bathing suits.
Is there an age limit on how big of a kid you can be to learn how to scuba dive?
An age limit?
Yes.
On the high end or the low end?
I'm thinking on the high end, personally.
No, I think if you're an adult, you're welcome to be a part of that,
all right,
too.
Good.
Although the kids are going to be in line ahead of you.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah. So it is,
And they're
Chuck, mainly,
faster.
it is mainly for kids,
It is?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, there will be big inflatables, and there's going to be an ice cream eating contest and a cookie eating contest. In the evening, the Remax balloon will be there, and weather permitting, there will be tethered balloon rides. So all kinds of activities for kids in Family Fest.
Well, good. I want to talk a little bit more about those activities, but I want Dan to tell us a little bit about some of the activities on the river itself.
Right.
You mentioned skiing and
Correct.
And that's what we call Splash Fest.
Splash Fest.
And I like what Louise said, is many of the favorite activities will be back. People just love being on the water. And I think they're surprised at how beautiful the river is. It's a totally different view than just driving down the street. So certainly pontoon rides are going to happen. We had 3 pontoons last year. We'll have 10 pontoons this year. We want to run a lot more people on the river. Canoes and kayaks will be there. They're free for the taking. As far as paddling around, don't take them home. There will be a ski show. There will be a landing of a float plane. A couple of new activities that are going to happen this year. We're going to have a couple paddle boards there, and that is the most unusual thing to see. You think, why is somebody standing up? But anybody that has done it gets hooked on it. So there will be paddle boards, and we're going to show what a lot of people think is a high-end collegiate event, and it's growing here in Fort Wayne at Concordia High School. It's a rowing crew, and these are the shells, the little skinny boats with long paddles. And so at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's going to be a demonstration of both paddle boarding and these rowing shells. And there's already a couple crews in town that are practicing.
And it says here you'll have a boat show as well.
Oh, and that's going to be just at dusk, and it will be pontoons that will be decorated up that have been taking people for rides during the day, and any private citizens up and down the river. And we've had calls from people that, where do I put in? I want to be part of this. They'll be decorated with lights, and it'll be a parade.
I tell you, it was so much fun last year. In the evening, you have a rock. No, actually, all day long you have rock bands. Or
From
is it just,
from noon until midnight.
you have rock bands out
We
here?
have
at IPFW?
live bands. Some of them will be rock bands. We have, some of them do country. We have some jazz. So there's kind of a mix all day.
And how does the festival end?
With a big fireworks show, but it's not just fireworks. We have cauldrons of fire on the water. We're going to be having lanterns that are fire lanterns in the sky, luminarias on the bank. So then of
Wow.
course the bands are playing in the back. So it's a
Fire and
really
water.
spectacular event. Right.
Is there a cost to get in, Dan?
Nope.
To the RiverFest?
Nope, RiverFest is free.
Free to the family. Some
That is
events
free.
might cost a little bit of money. I know that you have a zip line, for instance, Louise.
Right. The zip line I think is going to be our favorite new event.
Yes.
The zip line is going to have a charge, but everyone there is going to be able to watch people screaming as they, zip across the river right next to the bridge. And we think people are just going to
Well,
be
that sounds like a lot of fun. And
really a lot of
And
fun.
it's located, again, it's on, for our audience, it's on June 25th.
Right.
Here at IPFW, right near the Venderley Family Bridge.
Right.
All surrounding that area. There's plenty of parking.
Right.
Correct? And it's free. Boy, you can't beat that. But there are other opportunities to learn about the rivers, besides actually immediately following the RiverFest. Dan, tell us about the River Summit.
Yes, we hope that we get enough questions from the people that are here at RiverFest, and we hope we give them enough answers that they come to the Grand Wayne Center on the 28th and 29th. That's just 3 days after RiverFest. And on those 2 days, there will be an opportunity to participate in training sessions if you want continuing education credits. There will be a brainstorming session on Tuesday evening, the 28th, and Vision the Possibilities. We want to hear what people have to say. And then all day Wednesday, there will be all sorts of breakout sessions and seminars that people can sit in, listen, ask questions. And any information they want about the River Summit is on riversummit.org.
Okay, talking about vision, and as I understand it, you're going to gather a group of citizens who love our rivers and talk about how our rivers will be used, what they will be like in the future. What kind of ideas would you like to see happen?
Well, I get a little historic in that perspective. The reason that this community was settled was because of the rivers, because of the economic opportunity that they brought. It was a way to bring goods and services here and out. And over the years, the city developed, we turned our backs on the rivers, we put the back of the buildings and what have you. And I think now other communities like Fort Wayne have begun to discover the asset that they have in their waters that can actually be an economic engine. And I never cease to lose a smile on my face when I have an opportunity to take somebody for the first time who has been born and raised in Fort Wayne, never been on the rivers, and take them through the heart of the city or up here at IPFW, and they see how pretty it is, and the comment always is, I would never know that I was in a city being on these rivers.
And that's true. For those of us who have the privilege of working on this campus, just having that St. Joe River run right through it is just one of the most special things about the campus. RiverFest, June 25th, great opportunity to have lots of fun. It's free parking, and learn about our rivers. I encourage everybody to be there. Dan and Louise, thank you both for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For more information about IPFW RiverFest, just visit IPFWRiverFest.org. Or if you would like to volunteer, call Kelly Shanks at 481-6105. If you didn't catch us on PBS on Sundays, you can always check us out on the internet. Arts Weekly can be seen on YouTube, Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter. As always, Arts Weekly can be seen Tuesday through Thursday on College Access Television. I'm Chuck O'Connor. Thanks for tuning in to Arts Weekly. Join me next week with guest Andrew Constantine from the Fort Wayne Philharmonic.
Thank you.